Welcome to Storytime with Dennis, where today I will tell you about that time that the police knocked on my door at 4 o'clock in the morning. So if you know me, you know that I sleep very well, and one night not too long ago I was asleep in our bed and I thought I heard somebody knocking on our door, and it was kind of a strange thing. I thought, well, it's probably just a dream. If somebody's knocking on our door at this time, I'm not getting up to answer that door anyway. And so I just kind of rolled over, and the dog wasn't barking, so it wasn't a big deal. Then the next thing I know, I hear it again, and it's just a little bit stronger knocking on the door. And I was like, what in the world? I'm not getting up out of bed to go answer the door in the middle of the night. It's probably just some crazy wacko person trying to wake us all up and cause problems, or they're in the wrong place because we're not expecting anybody. And so I roll over again and I hear it again, and then the next thing I know, I hear Janelle saying, hey, go check the door. And I'm like, what am I gonna do? Who in the world would be coming to knock on our door at 4 o'clock in the morning? And so I get out of bed and I go down the stairs and I look out the peephole, and it's a cop. And I'm like, what are the cops doing at my house at 4 o'clock in the morning? And so I open the door, and he's very nice. He's like, hey, I was just patrolling the neighborhood and I noticed that your van door was open, and we've had some people who have been breaking into cars lately, so I just want you to check and see that everything is still there and then shut the door. I'm grumbly, like sleepy tired, and I'm like, okay, whatever. So I go and I check the van, and of course our van looks like it has been ransacked, but that's normal. And so everything was fine. The cop was nice. He took off and I went back to sleep. The reason I'm telling you this story is because Jesus tells a story that is very similar, and it is about prayer. And Jesus tells the story right after he explains the Lord's Prayer, the model prayer, which we've already discussed in a video. And Jesus tells the story of a guy who has people coming and visiting his house, but he realizes that he has no bread. And so what he does is he goes to his neighbor's house in the middle of the night, and these people who had visited are hungry, so he goes to look for bread from his neighbor. And so he goes and he knocks on the door, and the neighbor is not exactly super happy to open the door because it's the middle of the night, and he actually says, hey, I'm already in bed, my kids are in bed with me, and I don't really want to give you what you're asking for. But the other neighbor, the one who has people visiting, doesn't give up, and he just keeps on knocking, and he keeps on knocking, and he keeps on asking. And Jesus says that because of this guy's persistence, his neighbor who's in bed gets up and gives him what he needs. And Jesus is telling us that persistence in prayer is an important and powerful trait. If we can remember that as we're praying, that just because we don't get an answer right away, that we need to continue praying. Jesus is saying that just because it's quiet doesn't mean that we should quit in our praying. Just because God is quiet doesn't mean that we need to quit talking to him, because we understand who we're asking. We know that he's good. We know that he loves us. We know that he wants to give us good things. Jesus keeps going in that story, and he says, if you who are evil know how to give your sons and daughters good things, then how much more will your Father in heaven give you good things? As we think about praying, we got to be persistent in our prayers. We got to not give up. We got to continue to get to know the one who loves us so much that he will answer our prayers. I would love to know, what is the thing that you have been praying for the longest? What is the thing that you have been persistent in your prayer? Put it in a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. And also, if you want to see more teaching on prayer, I've put together a playlist of all of my videos about prayer right here. Click over there and you can watch everything that I've ever said about prayer.